guys, it's Marcus from the Lair of Osiris. I just noticed that our fan legion has grown to over 300 people, so thanks for each individual back there. Really much appreciated because I do this and my mentor does this without any commercial ideologies behind us. We don't want to make money, we don't want to sell records, we don't want to make anything that kind of plastic shit. That is a shame of heavy metal scene these days. We keep it true, we keep it underground, and we live through metal. If you're looking for metal, give me a knife and I'll show you what I'm made of in the waves, so to speak. Okay, bad jokes aside, I've been telling them throughout this night already. Yeah, maybe because of that 300, I was a little bit inspired to maybe open something about my two newest records that have been published in YouTube, in Spotify, and so forth. And they are called The Blood Eagle and Beyond the Sun Divine. They are two absolutely different songs with different songwritings, different styles of playing, different imaginary, different mythologies, but basically they are telling a story of the same coin but of a different side, so to speak. Because as you all know, or if you don't know now you know, all of my songs are totally rooted in my own life, own personal life, be it high, be it low, be it hell, be it heaven, or anything between of those. I always write about myself and my life, but with, of course, that kind of heavy metal dramatics and nuances and traditions that are mainly used in the scene of the art, so to speak. So you can't just literally read through everything and put it in my head. No, that would be a violation of owning my own thoughts. So not in that sense. They are actually quite hidden behind all the mythographies and styles of telling and narratives and so kind of, and I always love to play with language, so be my guest to really go through those hieroglyphs, so to speak. Now, let's not talk about hieroglyphs right now. Well, okay. What is this basic coin that my two new songs are telling about? I'd say that it's something that happened to me last summer. It's almost a year ago. It was back then when my wife, or now ex-wife, decided to leave me quite abruptly after 15 years of being together. And it was a shock for me because it came without any, how you say it, like lightning from the clear sky, without any previous talks or warnings or anything like that. So of course that is a huge traumatic experience for any human person, and because I'm an artist who usually powers his inspiration from my own wounds, that's the reason why I wrote in a high mad fever quite quickly 2 songs and in the summer, but their production and mixing and recordings were a bit delayed because of different reasons, of both of my own and my production management and so forth. But we managed to publish, if I remember right, Blood Eagle was published in December, and Far Beyond the Beyond the Sun Divine. Far Beyond the Sun is Ynkäs said, but yes, Beyond the Sun Divine was, I think it was a month ago or something that it was released. So yeah, it has taken almost a year to get those seeds really sprouting, but I'm quite satisfied of both of those songs, and yes, even though they are telling about the same thing, I think they are approaching Saint Themata from different perspectives, with different mythologies, like I said, but also with like different parts of the big picture are the focal points of that. Let's start, for example, with Blood Eagle, which is probably the most brutal song I have ever written. Yes, because when you get dumped so abruptly, and if you have a suspicion, does it have evidence or not? But if you really have a meaningful and believable suspect that you have been left for because of someone else, because you lost the race, so to speak, someone took your gold medal away. That, well, people who have experienced that really know what I'm talking about and what kind of so-called negative emotions that awakens. If not fury, if not anger, if not some kind of a hurt violation, but also a wish to have some kind of a revenge and justice, of course. And I started to think about what would be a mythographic set or motive that could very well describe those feelings, or at least become the vessel for those kind of feelings to be sailed upon. Well, of course, many of you people back there know that I'm partly Swedish, and that's why I'm actually wearing today this Sabaton Lion of the North shirt. I'm partly Swedish by blood, and I'm very proud of it, because for obvious reasons, we Finns wouldn't be the Finns we are today without the Swedish legacy and the DNA that is inside of our nation. We would have been enslaved by either Danes or Russians, and the same that happened with the rest of the so-called Finno-Ugric populations, for example, to east from us. That's something that I would love to see in history. So, thank you, Mother Svea, now and always. En gång alltid, i tiden för Sverige, och för Finland. We are a pair, or maybe we are a child of Mother Svea. Okay, let's go a little bit further away from Sweden, talking about Vikings. I've always been drawn to Viking stuff, not less because I'm part Swedish, but of course the mythologies are so fascinating, and I love, for example, Iceland. And yeah, there are many narratives, because they were so warfaring and seafaring people that it was quite easy to start to look for the vessel for my feelings of what I just previously told you about. You know this Blood Eagle ritual, don't you? At least those of you who have watched the Vikings TV series. It's on Netflix, at least, I guess. I think it has been quite graphically, but also very epically described there. And Blood Eagle is basically a ritual we don't really know if it has been conducted ever in a historical, factual sense. But at least it makes a good narrative. Like, you know, a ritual where you basically first cut open the skin of your victim, then break their rib cages, and of course pull the bones a bit further away, so you can just go for the lungs and spread them out like a true berserker to become the eagle wings. It's a total symphony of grotesque, inhuman, brutal stuff, but also very humiliating, and yet at the same time quite glorious, because if we put this thing into the metaphysics and moral framework of the ancient Scandinavians, mm, it was basically done for the glory of the gods, mainly Odin, uh, in order to see the justice and the noble virtues happen in the world. And because the gods and goddesses were taught like that, it was believed that restoring honor and nobility in right ways, in right rituals, um, the, the gods would gladly answer to that with prosperity, love, and success. So, was Blood Eagle a ritually accurate or ever conducted ritual? We don't know, but at least it makes a good story, and it would fit very well on the cosmography and the metaphysics and moral values that we know. At least we know something about those of the ancient Scandinavian people. So basically, we can assume that the Blood Eagle ritual was conducted only for the most major crimes, and I think I was quite badly violated in the summer. It was the most horrible experience I have ever had. Even worse than, for example, my father's suicide back in 2020. And yeah, so basically it was a perfect key for my luck, so to speak, to let the emotions of humiliation, anger, righteous vengeance, total destruction to sprout out. And just I was just pouring those emotions into mythographic language, and at the same time presenting in musical heavy metal terms what the Blood Eagle ritual could be. So you can sense it in the musical spheres too, because you can hear it definitely. I have paid tribute to the old Norse black metal and Viking metal roots there, and otherwise, and all around, I have tried to be choosing the most brutal riffs I've ever created, but also with a slight touch of heroism here and there. There are melodic parts, and you can actually, for once, in the chorus, hear my natural voice and not just my growling. Because even though Vikings had a hard life and they had hard rituals and everything was like warish, but for example, like myths, they also have this side of heroism and entertainment and lightness back there. And of course, most of the year, most of the Vikings weren't just like warfaring sea warriors. Actually, Viking as a term, if we are totally precise, means at fara I vikinger, that it was a verb pointing at someone was doing something. A guy or a woman or a lady was going to be a pirate. It's what it meant. He took his boat or their boat, set on sails, and went wherever they liked. So that's one of the reasons I really wanted to not just blast beat and black metal riffs also, but also some kind of heroism and even light-mooded things there. And yeah, after going through the ritual part in the song, you can hear where I start to speak as Odin would. And it's basically Odin's own loathing and downwatching gaze upon those who he thinks that are inferior for his own total warrior-like values of Valhalla. And I definitely wanted Odin to have that speech in my song to have the final word. And it's no coincidence that in my music video, all kinds of real pictures that are there, and some of the AI made pictures also are pointing to the honeymoon trip we had to Iceland. Not because the whole story tells about the divorce and how badly I was treated during that, but also how Vikingly connected it actually was, the whole thing. So there are many layers, and even though at the time when we were recording it around Yule, I can't say that I did anymore have those emotions inside of me. I was quite over it already, but I tried my best to get into the mood of that anger that I had on summer and on autumn also. And I think I managed to do it quite well, at least in my humble competence level. Yeah, but that was Blood Eagle by itself. And well, shall we next go to talk about Beyond the Sun Divine? Yeah, if you go through the lyrics in the basic verse, it tells the same story. Broken promises towards the gods and suns and so forth. So the oath returned to me, and up rises the chaos, serpent rises, and everything goes crazy, and laws are broken, and cosmos is in peril. Yeah, there we went back to Egypt, and it basically tells a story where the holy promise to be there in good and bad, in everyday life and in party and so forth, it was broken, and my trust for life was broken for a while. It was a total APEP emerging out of nowhere under the basking sun of Egypt in its big moments, actually. So, yep, that's the beginning of the story. But if you go to the bridge where I start to talk about in my eyes I can see it all, that far beyond the sun lives the truth, that forever lives inside. That's something actually that is a combination of my experiences in psychotherapy that I went through after the divorce, and my own viewpoints towards life, and also of my spirituality perhaps, and of my warrior mindset, I could say. A Zen warrior mindset in a way. And I think it creates a nice contrast in a way to Blood Eagle, because it's still the same coin. Because through Blood Eagle we just like berserk everything and kill everybody and so forth. But in Beyond the Sun Divine's bridge, I actually love it how I managed to create an atmosphere of tranquility, serenity, being above it, being non-attached to it. Like, just let it be, everything will be alright. I know that there is still hope. I can always rise up. And so can you. You can relate to that. There is always hope. And it's at the same time, it's inside of us, but it's far beyond the thing that the ancient Egyptians thought was divine. So it's quite a macrocosmic, universal stuff, and at the core element is love and hope, which some people, or many people, want just get out of my lyrics for obvious reasons, because it's quite brutal metal, I know. go to the chorus, descending into the underworld, in darkness and your soul is born, and so forth. That is also a combination of my spirituality, where the dark is not being scared, or the loudest storms, or nothing is scared, nothing is taboo, nothing is forbidden, everything is faced and went through, like head on. Don't try to put the shadows in the closet. I don't know what kind of anecdote was that. Don't be afraid of the dark, I guess would be the message inside of it all. Because when we face the darkness and totally embrace it, break the taboos of our own mind, we face our ugliest parts of ourselves. And when we totally embrace them, we learn to accept not only ourselves but also the others. So, like I said on the pre-chorus and the bridge themes, that song is actually about acceptance and love, after all, and hope, in many, many ways. But then I somehow wanted to put there, maybe because of the new movie Nosferatu and my fanboyness towards Christopher Lee, and of course vampires are always interesting, and the cult of Anubis, having those Anubite creatures going around in a vampiric style, it's something that is very close to my heart, as you can see and hear in my demo or single called Anubite Discipline. It's actually a very old one now, but I wanted those vibes back, and yeah, there are two sections where they come. So just in order that it won't become like too child's play, that pinky ponky bubbles going mad, I didn't want it to be too soft, so to speak, because damn it, it's heavy metal. And you always want to surprise people and not just play with all cards open just right from the beginning, like in other genres of music sometimes, at least in the popular scene, are done. I wanted to have some kind of a surprise there at the end. So, and I've got quite a lot of positive feedback on that. Yeah, but those are my new two songs. I hope that